Welcome to another episode of Chicago Detox. So today, just really gonna kind of get into a couple different topics that's kind of going on around the city, you know what I'm saying, and just really try to see where y'all at, on these issues, and if you all have like any insight. First, pretty much, he just announced it yesterday, but it's not necessarily taken into effect until like 2027, you know what I'm saying? But Congressman Danny Davis, who's been a long-standing representative, from the city of Chicago, whether it's from him being like an alderman and, the Cook County commissioner to being the congressman, basically representing for the West Side. But he's stepping down, in 2027, and he's passing the torch to LaShawn Ford, who's also another politician. I forget which exact title he's holding right now. I'm confusing him with Kwame Raoul. I think he's the the Attorney General. But LaShawn Ford, I forget what he does, but like I said, you could look into him, but yeah, pretty much trying to pass the torch to him. You know what I'm saying? They were tripping because Boykins, I remember he was running for another position recently, but he's been a long time ally of Danny Davis, and people were kind of salty because he didn't, like hook his guy up. So I don't know. What's your take on it? You feel me? Like when it comes to Chicago, it is a very political, and as one of my colleagues said, it's your beak washes my beak kind of city. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, like just kind of looking into that. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like a lot of people running for all these different positions, but most of the people in these positions have like held these positions for like, for like 20, 30 years plus. So just saying, like, at the end of the day, yeah, it's time to let, some new blood come in and, try to change some of the stuff that's been going on, but with a lot of things kind of just being embedded in this city, like most of the stuff is kind of just politics as usual, like to be straight up, and transparent. But how do you all feel? Do you all support Danny Davis? Do you feel he's done like a great job, representing for the West Side? And do you know who LaShawn Ford is? And, just thinking about some of the other people that will be trying to run for this position, like, it's pretty much kind of up in the air. So, salute to Danny Davis. I've never met him. I would definitely like to politic with him and, kind of talk about some of these things, but that's usually kind of how the city is, like everybody is like climbing the corporate ladder and, trying to elevate themselves to a higher position. So usually, like, I end up meeting some of these people, and then like within the next week or a month or so, they end up going to some totally different, department or something. So I don't know. When I kind of look at the city, I think it's a lot of politics that, like I said, that it's been embedded and engraved in just the fabric of how this city operates. So I feel that could be a downside, but I'm always optimistic. But just kind of looking at the reality of it is more of like, man, we kind of need to change some of these, people in these positions and, kind of just, dismantle this system of how it is. Because it's cool for some people, but it's not necessarily helping us all. So I don't know, like, what is your take on it? You feel me? Like, comment, subscribe, let me know how you feel about that. Real talk. I would say next, yesterday, which was the last day of July. We're filming today on August 1st. So yesterday, like, we had like a air quality alert to where it's like, when I was looking at the news and seeing them talking about it, they were saying that we had the worst air quality in the world, So let me repeat that. So they said the city of Chicago had the worst air quality in the world, So I'm just saying, like, just looking at that, like, and just hearing that statement, I really don't feel that they were like warning the people and kind of giving them an ample amount of time, to kind of like make arrangements to kind of like, combat the situation. Like, so it was pretty crazy because me, you may or may not know, I have asthma. Like, I never, had like any super breakouts or flare-ups and stuff like that where I'm having like asthma attacks and all that. But just growing up, that was something that I dealt with, and just looking at, what they talking about, like, oh, it's a sensitive health group. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, it was kind of weird, just kind of looking at it, the way they were just like casually saying that, oh, we have the worst air quality in the world, Like, I feel that was pretty bad, to kind of like see that. Because when I was watching it, because it's not that hot, so I had raised the window to like get some air flowing, and yeah. Then I see this on the news talk about, we have the worst air quality in the world. So yeah, I had to like close the window and like reassess the situation. So just saying, like, when I look at these fires that are coming from Canada, I just kind of feel that the people who are being affected the most by this, don't necessarily have a voice or any like say so about this, So at the end of the day, I really feel that if it was like some corporation that was doing it, they would be lining people up to like file a class action lawsuit, and then people talking about like, oh, I'm having difficulty breathing and respiratory issues, just because of this, So I don't know. I don't think it should be like, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything should kind of be transparent, Because like we just started hearing about like these wildfires and stuff like that. And then just kind of like looking at the air quality, you feel me? Like, that's really like something that you should think about. Because it's like, oh, if I go outside and it smell like smoke, like, that's pretty bad. You feel me? So, yeah, like, I think they need to get it together and somehow, we need to like reach out to Canada to kind of like try to resolve this issue. You know what I'm saying? Because, they talk about building a golden dome. I'm just saying, like, you should be putting some type of tariffs on these people, you know what I'm saying? Because of all this smoke and stuff that people are like suffering from, like, and for it to be like the worst place in the world, like that's like insane. You know what I'm saying? Because it's like, wow, it ain't even affecting the, the source of the fire like that. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, like, Did it hit your area? You know what I'm saying? When you go outside, do you smell smoke? You know, is it something that's bothering you, or you don't really care? You know, because like moving into the next story, you know what I'm saying? Like yesterday was the first day of Lollapalooza. You know what I'm saying? Which I ain't got nothing bad to say about Lollapalooza, but I'm just saying like all these people were outside. You know, on like the worst air quality day of the year. I mean, in the worst air quality in the world, you know, like yesterday. So I'm just saying, and that's not like a good title that you want to hold, you know, to be like, oh, I'm the, you know, number one air quality level, you know, like, yeah, it's not good. But Lollapalooza started yesterday. I forget all the headliners, but I know Luke Combs and Tyler the Creator were headlining yesterday. I mean, it's a few people. I won't super go into it. You can look them up. But I'm just saying, if you're going to go to this concert, yeah, I think you should be mindful of you know, of the at-risk groups, as well as, you know, just the level of the air quality. Like today, it has came down, so it's kind of like half of what it was yesterday, right now. So it's kind of cool, but if you kind of look at the levels of it, you know, it's still pretty, you know, bad. Like I think it just dipped below the, you know, the like the high risk thing. I think that was at like 100 or something. But yeah, just kind of tapping into that. Like, yeah, I appreciate the concert as well as the music, but it's like, yeah, I think the people might want to, you know, like stay alive and not have like, you know, breathing or health issues, you know, just kind of dealing with that. So yeah, shout out to Lala, you know, shout out to all the acts, you know, y'all could, you know, donate to Railroad Tracks Music Academy. You know, it is the beginning of Black Philanthropy Month, but we'll get more into that, you know, as we go. But yeah, salute to Lollapalooza, as well as all of the artists, you know, and their teams that are coming through to perform. So yeah, real talk. Moving forward, so today marked the 30-year anniversary of the Black Women's Expo, which is you know, held at McCormick Place. So just really want to salute Miss Mary Green, as well as all of the other vendors, sponsors, as well as all of the people who help make this possible, you know, for a long 30 years, you know. Like, when I look at it, just speaking, I guess, as a black man, like, we must protect the black woman at all costs, you know what I'm saying? Like, speaking from somebody who, you know, only child, single mother, you know what I'm saying? Grandmother, aunties, you know, a couple uncles. But I'm just saying, like, for real, like, I see people like discounting our women, and, you know, nobody is necessarily like standing up for them. So I'm just saying that, putting that out there, you know, like, we as black men must protect our women at all costs. You know what I'm saying? Like, for real. Because if we don't, who is? You feel me? So, yeah, definitely want to try to get to the Black Women's Expo. I think today, which is August 1st, the first day, Raheem Devon is performing. Salute to him, you know, DC. That's one of my homegirls' uncle. You know, like, we never met him or worked with him, but, you know, we definitely have, you know, tried to make something happen. You know, me working through my homegirl and trying to, you know, politic something. But yeah, he definitely be killing. But But yeah, he's performing today. Forget who else they have like on the bill, but yeah, I definitely think Marvin Sapp, the gospel artist. I know he's performing on Sunday, and then they have Tamara Hall is gonna be there. A real funny story about Tamara Hall. Like, yeah, I've never met her. Definitely a huge fan. Been following her since I was a shorty. And that's kind of where the story comes into play. But like, yeah, she used to work for Fox 32, right? And you may or may not know, but she kind of favored Halle Berry, and this was like around the time like Halle Berry was like really, really popping, and Halle Berry was like extra fine. I mean, she still is extra fine, but I'm just saying, like, as a little kid, I believe Tamara Hall, I don't know if she got fired or, moved, but like, yeah, I know when I was a shorty, I used to watch Fox a lot. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, she ended up just like disappearing. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, man, like what happened to the lady just disappeared. I'm a shorty, so I don't know nothing about, them firing people get, shows getting canceled and all, I'm a kid. Like I'm, you know what I'm saying? Like, but yeah, so like fast forward, I forget when, but I know Windy City Live, which is a local show, that all my fellow Chicagoans should know about. You know what I'm saying? You got Val and Ryan, you know what I'm saying, hosting. And it used to be pretty dope. They would have like a lot of various organizations and, people that you should probably know in the community, as well as various comedians, radio personalities like, Leon Rogers and, yeah, it was pretty cool. But like, I found out that they were like getting canceled, and I was kind of mad at first, but then I found out who they were getting replaced by, and they still have their Windy City weekend show, which comes on Fridays. But yeah, when I found out they were getting replaced by Tamara Hall with the Tamara Hall show, it was kind of dope, because I'm like, I seen her again, like, you know what I'm saying, like some years ago, like not necessarily like when I was a kid, but like I probably seen her, you know what I'm saying, in like the 2010s or something. Like, oh, that was that one lady, because I think she was like worked for the news still. I think she was in Texas. I forget where, but yeah. So when she popped back up, and they like, oh, this Tamara Hall show is gonna be through, is gonna be in this slot, as far as like when Windy City Live used to happen. I was kind of happy, but yeah, she's gonna be at the Black Women's Expo. You know what I'm saying? On Sunday. So yeah, salute to her. I'm gonna try to get down there, but yeah, it's been pretty rough and trying to, sort through all this stuff I got going on. So yeah, we'll see. But like I said, salute to all of the Black women, that are a part of this, as well as, all of the Black women, what I'm saying, all across the world, Yeah, real talk. But if you in the city of Chicago, I definitely feel you should try to get a chance to stop by the Black Women's Expo and check them out. You know what I'm saying? They at their 30th year, and yeah, salute to them. Real talk. I heard that they have like some type of Black Men's Expo, but me being a Black man, I haven't heard about it. So I was talking to some people about trying to put something together like that, but yeah, we'll talk about that a little more in the future. But kind of moving forward, thinking about Chicago Public Schools, CPS. So right now, they have a $734 million budget deficit. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you recall, like I was talking about the city of Chicago with their budget deficit as far as like it being 1.2 billion, so I'm just saying, you do the math, you know what I'm saying? We almost like 2 billion in the hole, you know what I'm saying? And we just talking about for this fiscal year. We ain't, like we not talking about like next year or, like, so saying all that to say, like, man, it's been a lot of mismanagement of funds. Like when you kind of look at this stuff, like on the world scale with them being like trillions in the hole, it's kind of like what everybody is doing. It's kind of like the thing to do. So it's like a lot of these elected officials, yeah, I don't feel they're fiscally responsible. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the money that they had was kind of from the pandemic era, like funding. You know what I'm saying? Like the stuff where people were talking about getting PPPs and all that crazy stuff. So when you kind of look at it, it's like now that that funding is drying up, a lot of these cities and different organizations, yeah, they kind of are not doing the best because of, choices that they made in the past. So just really want to put that out there. Like I know the city of Chicago was getting a lot of flack, dealing with CPS, and then, the mayor, Brandon Johnson, trying to fire the 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 president of CPS. I believe his name was Pedro Martinez, and they have like an interim president or director right now. But yeah, just kind of looking at what they talking about, it just seems pretty bad, because like they're really trying to focus more on like grabbing these they were talking about getting like a high interest loan to like kind of pay off some of the pensions or something. It's just all the stuff kind of is not necessarily adding up when you kind of think about it. So yeah, when I look at the city, it's been a lot of like choices that were not the greatest. And then when you kind of think about it, a lot of the residents will end up taking the brunt of, of this. You know what I'm saying? When you think about, the kids, a lot of their stuff is going to get cut. When you think about, you feel me, just like everything, it's kind of like a trickle down effect. Like when I think about like back when Rahm Emanuel was around, you know what I'm saying? And he closed down like a lot of the schools. And I feel what people say, like, oh, this may be something that we really, really need done. But the reality of it is everything is consequences for everything. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if you close this school in this community that, that doesn't really have like resources like that, just say the school is probably one of their biggest resources. Now the kids have to go to other neighborhoods and stuff like that. And you don't really think about that stuff unless you're from Chicago, which is very segregated. And, people in these communities kind of operate on a block by block, click by click type basis. So yeah, I kind of feel it's unfortunate, but yeah, those are some of the consequences that, that people are faced with, to just say like, oh, now I got to go to school in the neighborhood where my ops is, or, the people that hate, they hate my block over here. Now I got to walk to school, through this neighborhood and stuff like that. So I don't know. I just try to be mindful of that because I'm a person from Chicago and I kind of know like how it is, not necessarily what they the images that they try to portray to people through the media. So it's like kind of, I don't know. It's like it's kind of like, yeah, we really need to figure this out because yeah, y'all closing schools, basically like dropping, you know, dropping various resources that kids have, you know, because like when you think about school, like some kids may go to school and get 2 meals, you know what I'm saying? So if you're not necessarily eating at home, like this is like good for you, especially like if your family can't afford it and whatnot. So I don't know. I try to be mindful and think about stuff like that, but yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of sad when you kind of look at the elected officials and then like what's going on. You know, like they talk about the violence, but anybody could easily connect the violence to the historic trauma that most of these people face. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, like. And if you're not educated, I think, yeah, you will probably make even worse moves, So I don't know, like, it's kind of unfortunate, but I definitely feel for my city, and I definitely hope that they kind of figure this out and it's not something that, like lingers on and like we have like all these school closings. Because even when you think about it, like, oh, say they closing these schools, most of the schools that they didn't close never like opened up. So it's like a abandoned school, like, just sitting like in the middle of this neighborhood. And that's actually even worse than like closing the school. So, yeah.